Yeah, right, I won't be doing anything like that. No. Yeah, no, no, a friend of mine likes to go on rides, so I just buy her wristband and she takes Lucy and I cannot do it. No.
7 o'clock, I call this common council meeting in order. We can please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Catlin. Evans. Louise. Here. Justin.
Here.
Lee.
Here.
Ronnie.
Here. Okay, first item of business is the agenda for the
Second.
Approved, second by Randy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Approved minutes of previous meetings? Motion by Justin. Second by Kevin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Approved minutes of intervening meetings?
Second.
Motion approved, second by Randy. Any further discussion? Questions or comments? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? Public comment regarding the agenda items. Is there anyone here wishing to speak? Resolution, need for training and improvement of engineers, 2007. Obviously, Ron, and the road.
Thank you, everyone. We got a handout coming around, but so we've been looking to have this meeting scheduled with you for a while now, several months, but you guys have had some pretty busy agendas, as you all know. So this one looked like a good one to sneak this in, but the main purpose of this discussion, and this is what it is, it's just basically an informal discussion. If you guys have questions as we go along, feel free to stop us, but with all the projects that MSA is involved with in the city, and then also with some of the new council members, we thought this would be a good idea to come and introduce ourselves, talk a little bit about the projects that MSA is currently working on with the city, talk a little bit about our past history with the city, and then also talk a little bit about the future moving ahead with the city. So I'll go off of this. Again, for those newer council members, if you haven't seen me here before at other meetings, my name is Jason Lau. I'm with MSA for about over 20 years now, working out of our Beaver Dam office. I've been formally working with the city as your engineer for about 5 years since my dad, Mike Lau, retired. Some of the older council members and the mayor will remember him, but basically been more involved with the city ever since then. I'm the retired fully. And then also, as indicated, with me here tonight is Jody Young, my colleague. He's been with MSA for over 25 years, and he's our regional manager. So he'll talk about himself a little bit more later in the story than that, as you guys mentioned before. So, as I mentioned, I'd like to talk a little bit about our present projects that are going on. So first off, on sheet 3 of the agenda, it is double-sided. There is a little number pad in the lower left-hand corner that I'll refer to when I give the numbers. But as far as number 3 goes, this project is currently ongoing. You guys have probably seen the barricades if you've tried driving down East Oak Grove Street or on Western Avenue. This is our 2025 mill and overlay project that we've been working with the DPW department on. So far, there's been some storm sewer replacement and repair work on the project, which is one of the pictures, or the picture there that's on the sheet. That work has been completed. The concrete contractor is getting ready to do some patchwork on some of the curb and gutter that was disturbed with that storm sewer work. That should be happening here within the next week. And then following that work, in about 2 weeks, the asphalt contractor should be mobilizing into town and will be repaving those streets full length. So Western Avenue is basically from Highway W to Highway 26, if you're unfamiliar, and then East Oak Road, we're taking all the way from the intersection of Quick Trip at Main Street and going all the way out to the eastern city limits by 20 Highway M. So, but again, this project should be wrapping up in about a month or so, give or take. Next project, which is on sheet 4, this kind of ties a little bit in with that mill and overlay work, because the same contractor that has that work for the asphalt, which is Northeast Asphalt, they're also going to be wrapping up our East Oak Street project from 2024. This is the stretch of East Oak Street from Depot to Fair Street in front of the post office. That was a full-blown street reconstruction project, utilities and street infrastructure, but most of that work was done last year. The last work item that we're wrapping up this year, as indicated, is the surface course of asphalt. So, one neat tidbit about that project was back in 2024, with working with the city of Juneau, we were able to secure a grant for a little under $1 million for that project to help pay for a good chunk of that. So that project, like I said, is wrapping up, and hopefully will be finished up after the asphalt pavement and some other projects. Next on sheet 5 is a bunch of upgrades that happened to the wastewater treatment plant facility. This project was where MSA worked kind of closely with Juneau Utilities on a bunch of updates that the wastewater treatment plant needed to deal with some of their capacity, age, and performance issues. I'm not going to go through all the bulleted items there, but there's a whole list of them there that you can see of some of the newer upgrades and whatnot that were done with the treatment plant. That project is going to be probably wrapping up in another month or so too. They've got some punch list items with that one, as well as a little bit of change order work that the Juneau Utilities requested. So, but again, it's all anticipated to be wrapped up by early September. Next sheet, sheet number 6. Also with directly kind of with Juneau Utilities is MSA is working with them on doing some data migration with their GIS mapping software. Basically taking some of our old record drawings and paper maps and getting them integrated into the GIS system and mapping, which is a lot more user friendly, and it's a lot easier for the city staff, whatever, to keep track of records and help find things when they're all kind of stored in a database like that, rather than having to pull out old paper files and records that somebody else kept a long, long time ago. So definitely a worthwhile venture, and again, we're happy to work with the city and with Juneau Utilities on that. So, and should hopefully help make their lives a lot easier. So, last but certainly not least is a project that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. I'm starting on page 7, and this is the current project that we're working on this year along East Oak Road Street in the downtown from Main to Fair Street. This project's definitely been a good one and a challenging one too. Whenever no community is usually immune to it. When you work in your downtown, that's usually some of the oldest infrastructure in town, and they used to do a lot of weird things back there. So you usually find some interesting surprises when you work and replace the city's downtown. And as I'm sure a lot of you know, Juneau was no exception. We found a few surprises out there that we weren't expecting, but working with the city staff and with the contract, we were able to work through those challenges. And again, just for the newer council members that may not be aware, there's some interesting pictures here. In the far lower right corner, one of the things that was discovered was an underground room that projected out into the city, under the city sidewalk, into the city right away, right in front of the tattoo parlor. So that ended up, after it got discovered, that had to be abandoned and filled for liability and other reasons. Am I good here? Okay. The next picture to the left of that will be the third one from the left. That was an old cistern that was found along Miller Street, kind of near the county building and across the street from Rolling Stone. So that just had to be, once it was discovered, that just had to be abandoned in place. And then the other one was an abandoned old fuel tank that was near Rolling Stone and Fletcher's. That's the picture of it in the bottom middle. That one had an interesting story in that, and again, kind of speaks to some of the benefit that working with a firm like MSA is with us being a full service firm. We have a lot of specialties at our disposal, and during construction, when this was identified, the contractor basically found it and just stopped working, and so they notified us about it, and then we had to contact our environmental specialists to kind of figure out, hey, what are we up against here? After doing some research and doing some exploratory digging with the help of the DPW department, it was found that the fuel tank was empty and there wasn't any secondary contamination to the soil around it. So after we did the proper reporting, the DPW department was able to remove that tank without any trouble, and the contractor was able to get back to work relatively quickly after it was discovered. So, so I guess kudos to the DPW department and all the members involved, because had it not gone the way that it did, I mean, it could have been a very costly extra for the city if there was contamination or if that tank did have some fuel in it or whatever. It would have been a different story. So, but because the DPW department was able to get it out of the ground right away, the contractor didn't need to get paid anything extra for downtime and whatever else. So, all right. So, and I guess the other story with this one again, as most of you know, and I guess there's some illustrations on page 8 of this, but is the gathering plaza. This one was an interesting one too with this project in that it started off at a very as a very basic design. It was just supposed to be some simple concrete with a retaining wall and a raised lawn area, because there was some uncertainty whether the county would agree to it and if the city wanted to go along with it. But again, with MSA working collaboratively with the city on this one, as the county got on board with it, as members of the city got on board with it, the project really evolved, and MSA was able to help the city get a grant for $50,000 through the Vibrant Spaces that was able to go and help pay for part of the gathering plaza. And because of that, and again, the collaboration with the city was able to add on additional features like seat walls. We switched the regular concrete to the colored and stamped concrete as shown in the picture. The raised platform went from just a lawn area to a paved surface too as a stage. So it really enhanced the space, and I think I think it'll serve the city well, for years to come, and hopefully you guys get some good use out of that. So, moving on to the next page, page 9. So again, that's kind of our current, kind of the current rundown of the projects. This graphic is just kind of illustrating how MSA is structured personnel-wise. And this again kind of goes hand in hand with what I was describing the downtown project. In that, my picture and my contact information is listed there. I got Joe's listed there too, since he's here with us tonight. But basically, I'm your main point of contact for questions, for projects, and then depending upon what those questions entail or what the infrastructure needs might be, I have a whole slew of specialists within the company that I can call upon, and I just have some of them mentioned me. We're one of the largest companies in the Midwest, so we have a lot of employees, but even just a handful of the specialties and specialists that we have at our disposal. If you guys have questions or if you have needs that you just don't run into on a day-to-day basis. So not that you always need an electrical engineer at your disposal or an environmental specialist, but when you do, it's just a phone call away. So that's just kind of what this graphic is illustrating.
But I'm kind of curious, and again, I'm not with some of you. I've gotten been around a couple bit, but I've talked quite a bit at Chrome Randolph, so I'm not too far down the road. Not as close as Jason, who lived by the school, but close enough to know enough about Juneau and stuff. Since we had to come here and take off for my kids. But you've been for forever, right? 20-some years. And there's who else is long term that's been on the board? Who's got the who's? Six.
I've worked in the city over 20.
For the
City.
Juneau, I saw Fox Lake in there, sure, so I didn't.
Yeah,
She's there now.
I did.
There's a story there. Anyway, and so everybody else is under 6 years, and a couple, like Jason alluded to, we were trying to do this earlier, and then you had transition, you had things go on, and one thing that we guarantee is that changes occur all the time. You could have a tenure like that for a mayor, so I know it's different positions. I know, but you've been on the board and been around for many years. So change is always something that occurs, and that's one of the things that some of the consistency, some of the things that we see, and that's why being here tonight, it's kind of offer the opportunity to have you guys ask questions. What's on your mind? What do civil engineers do? And we're not just civil engineers. There's so much more that we provide that it's kind of like, okay, is there something that you want to aware of or things you want to know about? That's just a way to introduce ourselves and provide it. There has been things that have bothered people in the past. There's things that I've heard about that have come to me directly to say that we're here to address and do whatever we can. But the one thing I'll pressure any of my communities, because I work for a fair amount too, is that the one thing that's consistent is that Juneau's going to be here a lot longer than any of us. And I say that in a way that the community is what matters. You're here to make a difference. We're here to make a difference. We're all trying to help out. But it's one of the neat things about providing a service to the community that we know that Juneau will last. And we're just trying to make it a better place for the constituents, for the quality of life, things like that it matters, and that's where it comes into. Jason kind of said it, but we are the largest farm in Wisconsin. And we have been built around small to mid-sized communities. You think of Fairview, Wisconsin, where we started. I'm from Randolph, to be honest with you, it's just sometimes small towns are different. They don't know how to put it because you just try and do the right thing, you try and get everything done. But what separates us a little bit, and I know you're looking at the slides, you might be looking ahead, but it's an overview in sheet 10. And like Jason just said, we provide it all. So we hope that you don't need everything. So a lot of the next couple slides basically goes through some of the service we provide. And then guarantee there's things in there, like I used to work at airports. Not an issue you shouldn't have to worry about. But ones that you do, environmental documents that come up, you mentioned them before, with what was down with the tanks. Okay, we got that. It comes down to DOT when a highway's coming through, Highway 26. Hey, you can't necessarily work on it, but we sure have a lot of people that have the experience, that it is an inside source that provides us, that helps us out a lot of it. And that's kind of what separates us a little bit, because our size and our ability to be diverse. And one of the things that we have benefited from is funding. And I know with the one that we talked about, getting back and trying to get responses back, but the fire space of 50,000. But on sheet 11, it shows what your success has been here since 2020. The one in particular that I am going to point out, because some of you probably haven't heard the story, and some of you have, but in 2020 and 21, when you look at the Highland and Oak Street project, that is something that was directly impacted by MSA. Now, it's kind of weird because there's closed funds. There's a program that was stopping with the CDBG, and we studied this and spent so much time on it that we're by far the best in the state when it comes to funding. I know last year's success, we had 60% of the funds with the MSA clients. You guys have gotten it a couple of times, but this closed funds was separate. They had a housing program that they wanted to stop, and so they just had to get rid of the funds. Well, Dodge County had $1.5 million. And they asked us to find ways to fund it. Fond du Lac County asked us, we show what it is, Campbellsport, Hopefield, they got some big money for that. And so we came here to talk to Dodge County because they told us, hey, we heard you can help us out. And we found them a project that was perfect. They were replacing 2 of their elevators within their county buildings that could get replaced. ADA accessibility provides meets the low and moderate income requirements. All they had to do was sign a couple of agreements that you guys have signed several times, and Dodge County Sheriff wouldn't do it. Right at the end. 2-3 months before they had decided to give the money back or to keep it. And they decided not to sign the one agreement, which had some language and stuff that doesn't seem to be too uncommon, that most all our communities have signed it, but they didn't. And so all we said is, please, before you give the money back, give us a chance, because I'd rather see the money be spent in Dodge County rather than see it just go back to the state. And that's where you guys got involved. So we knew you had a project, it was Oak Street. I think you did the surveys yourself that had it eligible. You were going to do the work regardless, from what I understand. And then here we came in and said, here, we basically thought of you first, and you ended up with $700,000. The Corps kind of got 400, but they had CB tools themselves. They had their own $200,000 that was separate, not through Dodge County. And the other one was Beaver Dam, who's also very familiar with this program. And so again, we basically found a way to split it up. And because of the trust and relationship we had, that you knew the program and knew what we were talking about, you were able to capitalize on that and take the money and be able to get it from the county rather than go back to the state. Those are the things with just familiarity and stuff that gives us an advantage, and that hopefully with long-term relationships, we have the ability to hope for you as well. And that's just one story that came out of it. You flip to the next page and you can see there's communities around you that are also benefiting. There are communities. But the funding that we have and how you look at it, Campbellsport worked on our new communities. Ripon started when they lost their engineering department, which we're seeing a lot lately. Hopefield's got a lot of long stories and a very interesting one. They're a different boat than you are, and there's definitely some fun with it, but their median household income is higher than anybody else around here, and I can't explain why. And so their ability for eligibility is amazing, but when I talk about here, you guys are actually second, you're around 7,000, but like Coracon's at 46, on Walk Pond 50 some, North Pond, yet they're over $92,000 per household. Couldn't explain if I want to. they're competing with the communities over by, I forget, the Johnson Creek is close to them, but Williams Bay, if you think along Lake Geneva area and stuff, some of those communities are right there, right alongside, Oakfield. Yeah, I couldn't explain it, and so when we try to get them funding, it was really hard, where you guys have had a lot more success. We don't control everything, but those are the things that we study so much, it just gives us some other edge. So I share that with you because there's days we get phone calls and emails, and they ask us, I got one again today, and I had to revolve around them. And it was, fire hydrants and, I'm sorry, fire departments and equipment and stuff, and those grants are coming due, and we're seeing a couple of those become attractive. So it's not ones that we actually apply for, we just sometimes give the information to the fire department and work with them because a lot of stuff goes through things like that. The rest of the sheets as you go through is kind of different things, and again, this is kind of for your folio and stuff, but it's not necessarily where some of them are you're familiar with. So when you start thinking about municipal services, which is shown, I think it's on page 13. Yeah, 13 and 14 surveying. We've done this a lot in the community, so those aren't unexpected, but we wanted to just give you a snapshot because some things might be something you haven't thought about. Architectural services, another thing that we've done pretty commonly throughout, especially our MVP group, is probably one of the top ones in the state. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Familiar. Planning and urban design, not necessarily the most important thing for most communities, but especially when it comes into a little bit later, you're going to see parks and open spaces and some of the funding that goes along with that. Things are changing right now. You guys are fully aware of the bill that was just signed by our President Trump. And so some of the funding that was available has definitely been cut, even on the state level. And because things change so much, it's kind of like what could be working today or what worked for past communities, the flexibility that you have to provide sometimes is all subject to that. Environmental is one of the things you hope you don't use, but like you said with your tank, glad you have it when you need it. But phase 1, phase 2 environmental assessments are very common and stuff. That those services that we have, I'll give you another example, is land acquisition. You don't necessarily want it, but if you have state funds and you go through the process, we're one of the only firms that has their own acquisition team to be able to complete it. And when this bill funds came out, I don't know if you ever followed the BIL, the big bill, whatever, this first election that came up, it's like having someone available to get the projects done became very critical. And so it's just nice to have those resources available to us, transportation, agriculture. I'll be honest with you, hopefully you don't have a farm issue in town, but outside of town, it's become a service that's needed with the vehicles and stuff, but like I said, you're not far from big dairies and stuff, so it's probably something that's occurred, but those are services we currently provide. So our goal tonight isn't to create or do anything except create an opportunity for you to ask whatever questions you have. At the end, I did have some things that I think are important that I at least wanted to bring up and wanted to make sure that we did openly communicate, but I have met with your staff, I have met with several of you because of some of the concerns and issues that we have heard. We aren't perfect, but things that I hear that I want to be addressed, because one of the things I can do is talk about what we've done in other communities and give you examples.
There's one thing that I want to say, I don't want to.
So cut this idea.
I don't know if this is something, do you want to talk about this after the fact, or do you want this, you want to meet with certain people afterwards, or I think that might be something.
Well, that's always available.
I feel like that would be a better opportunity than camera, but a little bit.
Well, I guess I'm not sure, but I'll comment to that. Anytime you guys want to meet or talk, like it's one of the things I want to make very clear is that our call talk to us. Anything that I say, and I'll be honest with Jason, it's not going to be a secret. So if I have a conversation with you, Dan, it's like we're here for the community, and those are things that shouldn't be avoided. So by all means, I don't have any problem with anyone that wants to make a phone call, and both Jason and I will get our numbers available to you if you have the opportunity to do that at any time you want. That's the easy one.
I think it's always, partnership for the after the project is done, criticize, until the share. I think this would be a productive conversation with the utility commission about. Otherwise, you two didn't have hands on that project. But quite frankly, I think the two council members that serve on the utility commission witnessed and felt like there's a lot of things that were missed, and design, what costs the city a lot of money. I know, MSA tried to throw a few bones our way, and whatnot, and it's compensated for certain things, but it seemed like there was, and that's a was a massive undertaking. And we have utility present right behind you, so Matt, you feel free to chime in, you can certainly speak to that effect, but I think there's a lot of things that, basic things that were overlooked and what have you, that cost them substantial dollars out there. Whenever I asked the two engineers that you had handling that project, well, we didn't, that inspector is no longer with us, and that owner, that's not the city's fault, you know, why that was missed. Things were installed incorrectly, railings were put in the rail, and being able to easily remove equipment at a later date, and just some real toolbox, you know, that just seemed to come to light. So I agree with Megan, we don't want to beat a dead horse here tonight, but I would certainly encourage you to meet with the utility commission, because there's probably a few beefs on that end that should probably be there.
I am fully aware of the utility commission. Obviously, Keith and I are partially involved from a more of an infrastructure standpoint. We're treating them with another team and stuff. And those concerns have been brought to our attention. So there's no doubt. I'm not sitting here denying that we've been met with your staff out there as well. I've been part of those conversations. I'd love to meet with the board members I represent. I have no issue. Again, I'm looking for this point like this. So I'm not sure exactly.
You got it. Go in the right direction.
No,
We can get there.
I think it was good for you to come and just introduce yourself, but if people have specific questions, you probably got the contact information.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be able to explain, because some of the things you're alluding to, I know, in some of the stories, there was a transition of people as well. I mean, we've been dealing with that, you know, what I talked about with Mike Lau and Jason Lau, and some of the things that I think everyone was used to from a Mike standpoint, and to be fair, it's, you know, Mike is, Mike's been around for a long time, and actually started in the city, you know, in 40. And so when he retired, he retired. And, you know, if he's here, I can joke on it, but he left and he's gone up north and he's enjoying the lake life, and he deserved it. So I was fun that he left his son in a little bit of a pickle, but we made it to one here. So I just want to allude to it, but that's definitely one of the things when it comes to the treatment plant. There's definitely things that are going on. There's definitely things that I would say, you know, we talked about contractor and engineering. The opportunity to talk about and discuss it is absolutely something we would take on and not try to. The things I want to allude to today, I don't know if they necessarily feel that. I want to talk about some of the changes we are making. And so one of them that I kind of allude to is that, you know, that change is always going to occur. We talked about, well, Mike Lau retired his partner. It's at 20 some years of doing this. At some point, they said down to 6, there's transition all the time. So when we do it, we're trying to learn. One of the things we learned is that the confusion of our bills sometimes was too much. Not being clear. It was one of the first conversations we had when we met with Megan, part of this that she was new to it, just trying to hear out the history of it, that it made a focused effort that we had to do after meeting with her to make sure that we took the time in order to make it work. You know, just go over it. Make sure, find the past contracts. But now one of the things we've done, we switch all time to zero. Is that we don't do the confusion. There's definitely options that are available. And communities do everything differently out there. It doesn't mean one's right or wrong, but what works for you is something that we as a firm, we have to evolve to. I gotta be upfront with you on this, guys, is that it's very important for us to adapt to what works best for Juneau, not 10 years ago, not 15 years ago, but what you need today. And so when you think about it, and you're looking for a certain type of thing, and here's one that we just heard from, the confusion, that's fine, time and zero. If things go great, that's fine. If we have problems with contractors, that goes fine. One of the things I've heard in the different discussions is that contractors, there's very specific things that we can do. And we love to tell them every time that they're wrong, and we have some current issues out there with concrete and things like that that have to be fixed. But means and methods is something we can't control. And I'll tell you a little story in some hurry, but I had one of my wonderful engineers that was out there helping the contractor, trying to figure out what elevation to put the stormwater lateral to fit underneath their sewer lateral underneath the storm sewer, and he calculated out and missed it by 4 inches. He's just trying to help them out, try to get it done, be a good guy. And all of a sudden the liability of what he shared became, whose is it? MSA's or is it the contractor? You know, they're responsible for their own, you just want to help out. But the means and methods and how they place it
and how they do it. You got a beautiful site. I mean, that downtown, looking at it from an outsider that had nothing to do with it, it looks great then. And I know it was a process to get to where it was. But the fact is, there might be some concrete that has to be replaced because the contractor put it in too wet. So we might have to fix it, we might have to work with it, there might be some negotiations. But in the end, if we sat there and said, hey, we think your concrete's dry, guess where the obligation comes back to? And those are things that we get very commonly at how to deal with contractors. So warranty and the 1-year warranty things are very common, and we have to deal with it. But how aggressive, what you want to do, and how to protect yourself is all part of the process.
Well, I think it's different too, is that we're using you as a middleman.
Yes.
So, I mean, so you're getting their end, you're getting our end. So with this specific project, that's why I feel like we should meet on another time. Because I'm not gonna talk about that right now. The whole process was very frustrating. And even seeing what color concrete to pick, what brick to pick. And here we're last minute picking all this, you know, like it just, the whole nother conversation, I think. So there's specifics, that I would personally like to address another time.
We've had a real consideration too. And so, no, we're not against any type of meetings to go over the different things and how it plays out, guys. That is not the issue. One thing I will encourage is that everyone open mind as much as possible, because when you get into it, and to be honest, right now, we take a lot of direction from you. And that's where we always function. For years of doing it, where it is, that there's definitely views that do things a lot different. And so, being upfront with you on where it is, but when you have stuff like that, where we don't, to be honest, put words in the Jason, but start with project was and it evolves, it's going on design, but there's definitely things that could be done more efficiently every time. When you said it best, I think you can always look back. But that's what we want to do, is actually look back and see where to improve. And so I don't think that all is a question or an insult, because we've been part of so many different jobs. But we want to get things right to where Juneau wants to see it. And if it's something where we have to say something, slow down and stop in order to get caught up. If we can get upfront to do it, that might have been the answer. Because no, this is too important. There's plenty of issues that happen. I'm making up stories now. But there's always stories to it. The key is, no matter how I look at it, if you guys are not informed and aware of it, so you can make those decisions, then that's definitely what we want down. And I'll use that as an example, that we want the decision made here, we want our staff to be aware of it. And when something like that, which is usually it's like maybe timing stuff would have been better, which I'm kind of reading into it. Heck yeah, then let's talk about that, so we have the ability to improve it.
So let's take a few
And that's the cue. All right.
I've never been to a resolution.
Well, I appreciate the time, like I said, yeah, and I will be right after that.
So when I have that conversation, very candidly, he takes it, brings it up, and I guess in closing, yes, like Jason, we had, let's stop. He was Juneau's #1 citizen, come down. We understand he did a lot of pro bono work for the city as well, working for MSA, because he was proud of the community, and he always had the city of Juneau that it doesn't decide. That's hard to duplicate, there's no two ways about that. Times have changed. I realized from being involved in this for 45 years, it's not like it was 45 years ago. There's no two ways about it. I understand where, you have the luxury of having 25 firms bidding jobs, now we get 3. The whole ballgame has changed, and I agree with staff here. We should discuss this at a committee level, and I think we can do that separately.
No, I have no issue with that. We'll let you move on with your agenda. And again, appreciate the kind words here and stuff, guys, but also the time. If there's any other questions, don't hesitate to call Jason. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. Approve payments and bills. Checks for $806,353.19. County transfer, $225,000 for 741. Motion approved. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Grundy.
Aye.
Jochner. Chapman. Evans. Moody. Lee.
Aye.
Moving on, reports of officials, mayor, resolution 31/2025. Territorial appointments. The mayor is diligently search for individuals who will give up themselves by serving on the plan commission and the fire and police citizen committee, and whereas the mayor wishes to make the following appointments. Plan commission, Ken Stuffin, term of the August of 2028. Fire and police citizen committee, Gary Solstrom, August of 2028. Now therefore be resolved, the common council, city of Juneau, accepts the aforementioned recommendations passed by the common council, city of Juneau, this 12th day of August 2025. Entertain a motion for acceptance of resolution 30/2025. Motion by Cooley, second by Evans. Any further discussion? Both of these are re-ups. The fire and citizen committee, or fire and police citizen committee is a very active committee. It's more or less for discipline. We have to make sure that mainly the officers or the department heads. And Ken Steffen's been a long time member of the planning commission. I was really surprised that he was recently lost his life. I think this is something that he says he doesn't have any trouble keeping busy, but he certainly has an interest in it. Well, no further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Moody. Evans. Chapman. Jochner. Lee.
Aye.
Grundy.
Resolution 31/2025. Clerk Treasurer, any report?
A couple things, the city of Juneau received a check from Evangelism Elder Mount Zion Church in the amount of $753 for tornado relief. We received that just this week. Putting in our donations, looks like currently, we're gonna be spending it on trees. Our park took a big hit, and our insurance covered 6 trees, which we lost to the library, and then 36 in the park, so only 4 of those would be covered under insurance, which it's only $500 per tree, so, you know, I'm not really quite sure what we can buy for that, but, wanted to give you guys an update. If you haven't noticed already, there's a new roof at City Hall Historical Building, concession stand, and the storage booth. New faction cockpit on the Wild Goose Park building. The tornado siren is on order. Should be here from 6 to 8 weeks. Soccer goals, nets, and bleachers should be coming soon. Stop signs, decorative street pole by the administrative building for the county is being replaced, and some miscellaneous items. We're all covered by insurance. So, starting the budget process, of course, and auditors are coming next month with their presentation.
Any questions for us? And what was the formula, so many feet from the building?
100.
Trees were.
It had to be 100 feet from an insured building. So, playground equipment, doesn't count.
So from here on, we gotta plant all the trees at 99 feet.
Yeah. You learn a lot.
Okay, thank you, Megan.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, any questions on the written report? Building permit, police department, Juneau Fire, Juneau EMS. Reports of committees, commissions, and boards. Library director, Megan.
Well, Johnny left me some stuff for the library. You want everything over. The calendars, I'll pass these around for the rest of the year, for August and September. stuff going on. I don't know what the time is, okay. And, the summer reading program, we had 198 participants. 71% completed that, so the 8-week reading challenge, which is pretty good when you think about it, the people on vacation results. And some of the kids, we had 28 special programs, and with that, they had 462 attendees. And anybody who's been down by the library during the day, hopefully, during the week, it's busy in there in summer. I was surprised, I made a comment when I was down there last week, picked up some books, and it was a lot of people in there. It was actually very nice. And the June, July visitor count was 682 people for the month of June and July. So that's actually pretty awesome. The window project, the installation was delayed in June due to some measurement errors. The replacements were ordered and installation was completed on August 8th. The contractor and workers were overall professional, and the project was very well done. You walk on, I think it was the window, they did a really nice job. And hopefully we can get, I'm not sure what the warranty is on these windows, because the other ones are lifetime, when you turn it on, life is really short. So, the budget, we're on track for 2025, and Connie's gonna be doing some of the, start budgeting stuff for next year in 2026. We got several special programs coming up. The Family Fortnight Camp is August 12th. And since I was hospitalized during the last meeting, I really don't know what that is entails, to be honest with you. We just made this thing. Heart health informational session with Dodge County Public Health will be at the library on August 19th. So if any, there's a few of us that are getting older that might qualify for some cardiac heart problems and stuff, so might be a good place to stop. Starry Night at the Marsh with the area libraries and work on Marsh Education Center on September 5th. And on September 6th, the Ojo de Dios Community and Cultural Arts Session with a masked expressive therapy. And that is going to be at the library. I'm not exactly sure what that is either, because that just obviously was talked about when I wasn't there. So, and that's about it. And if you look at the calendar, there's a lot going on at the library, and most of it's free. So it'd be good, good to get down there and enjoy our library.
The air conditioning works very well.
And I would think that. I wouldn't think that's one of the reasons why things might be brought up in June and July, to be honest with you, but, yeah.
So Connie always runs a good equipment and stuff.
Yeah.
She hit the ground running, going into that slot.
Yeah.
We didn't even see a lag of until Bonnie started, but she's done it before.
Right, yeah.
So I don't know if Jim can answer any of your questions if you have any. If not, we'll move on to Plan Commission. Troy? Finance, Richard.
You did not use.
And personnel, Richard.
We did. We had a meeting, and we discussed the progress of the police contract that is ongoing. Negotiations are continuing.
Public safety did meet, and police department, I'm sure your national night out on August 5th was a success. It was held 6 to 8. We talked about possibly amending the ordinance. There's information from the DOT, and the current ordinance that was handed out, and the committee members are recommended to take those home and review those. Closing of East O Street on October 18th for a Halloween party from 2 p.m. to 11 p.m. And we talked about the the fire department pump on 2383, the mini pumper needs to be replaced. It's a cost of 25 to 3,000, that's in the fire department regular budget. As Megan hit on, the update on the tornado siren on South Main Street, the siren has been ordered and it's been covered by insurance. And old businesses, speed signs, the ads when they're going up, and they're going up on North Main Street, West Oak Grove Street, East Center Street, and East Oak Grove Street, so look for those becoming, our next meeting is Thursday, August 21st, at 6:30.
Any questions for Danny?
Yeah, on number 5 here, what the e-bikes and the gas cars, like, what are they trying to take something away or add something, or what's going on?
Well, basically, what was brought up at plan commission level, they were questioning about what regulation you have or what we have on the books for prohibiting them from riding the sidewalks downtown and what have you. And we did find out that you don't have to have a valid driver's license if it's an electric motor.
Oh,
So a 14-year-old kid can go up to 28 miles an hour, or a 12-year-old kid can legally go up to, that's what's on our books right now. I mean, we had required, but we weren't aware, planning commission we weren't aware. But,
well, the evolution of e-bikes is coming on the last couple of years.
absolutely.
It's been like that for 20 years. Well,
But gas ones, that's a combustion engine, you have to have a legal driver's
Well, I would think
license.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It comes by here too.
And I think, Jay, you must, I don't know if you provided the information to do some research, we pretty much got, we have those regulations in place.
I've read the
That's
whole-
what I kind of figured the city was going to approve.
And obviously,
I've read the whole ordinance and
kids aren't aware.
what a cheap project for the DOT also. We're pretty much, get that information, I think it's all there. It's really helpful.
I guess enforcement is probably the biggest thing.
But you're not trying to ban them, you're trying to keep them.
No, just trying to keep them at
Safe
bay,
level.
at safe level,
Sidewalk.
keep them in a, either driving in parking lanes on the streets in the downtown or what have you, that nobody's trying to, but there has been some close calls, I know they're whistling down East Oak Street.
There's different levels,
Yeah.
e-bikes, we got class 1, class 2, and class 3. You could limit somebody without a driver's license to a class 2, that people going 20 miles an hour, because people don't go 20 miles an hour. And it has to be pedal assist. But you see how much your feet on the handlebar, and the hand on the throttle, going down the road.
Good to know, good to know. But that was pretty much the gist of that. It was just that, we had come for plan commission, they were kind of curious on what we had in place. We got clear like those two now. But the gas and we should really.
I agree.
Anything else? Public Works. You can ride down a meeting. Okay, cable TV.
We did meet, and we decided to end public with a cable TV channel. And the end date was set as the end of December 2025. We will announce on the Utility Bill, community media channel, and the city's website, and current users will also be notified, so we'll be working on that. David reported his owls did not work at the utility commission meeting because there wasn't enough, the internet was not strong enough. So we're going to try to hook directly to the Ethernet cable. And we did purchase a new equipment, which we're pointing out tonight. So we'll find out if that works, so we can just mount it in an effective area and not count the fingers here. And keep working with the power down on the utility office. To make it easier to put the meeting on, hopefully our website, which is something we're going to find out. And our next year, meeting, well, we didn't have one. All 5-2. Resolution 32/2025, approved resolving the cable TV committee and channel, whereas the cable TV committee has reviewed ongoing challenges with the cable TV channel, and whereas the cable TV committee agrees that the ongoing broadcasting equipment and funding challenges are the best to resolve the cable TV committee channel at the end of December 2025. Now therefore be it resolved in the common council of the city of Juneau accepts this aforementioned recommendation after the common council of the city of Juneau was 12th day of August 2025. I move for passage of resolution 32/2025.
Motion by Steve, is there a second? Second by Justin. Any further discussion? Resolve this committee.
That's what we're trying to get in place now, to get the equipment to work, that, whoever, whether all of them can take care of the iPad or whatever, just to record it, and so they can record the office, and just get the file and put on the website. We're trying to get it in place now, so it's easy enough for staff to do that. Yeah, that's cool. Big confidence we're going to get it.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please.
Rudy? Aye. Justin?
Aye.
Chapman? Evans? Lee?
Aye.
Darby?
Aye.
Resolution 32/2024. The Development Authority.
Chapman? Sorry. Did you say no?
I said.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Let it ask.
CPA, meeting. Recreation.
Recreation met, and we reviewed a coaching, a parent, and a player policy. And we just added no coaching from the bleachers to the parent policy. I wasn't aware of the things that were going on, I guess. No coaching from the bleachers was added as number 2 of the policy. And rec director, Carmen, we put a survey on Facebook and realized, what programs are most wanted. The 3 most popular programs we use baseball, softball, play football, and use basketball. And 37% of people that did not participate in programs or simply because before they were not offered. He has hit the ground running and he has done all behind. He's so actually better. Didn't go that right. We also had some vandalism in the park that has been cleaned up. And we are working on a wild goose park shed with representatives from the modern business. And our next rec meeting is August 20th, 2025 at 5:30. And we have another resolution. Resolution number 33, 2025, approved coach code of conduct, player code of conduct, and parent code of conduct for the recreation department. Whereas the recreation committee has reviewed the need for code of conduct policy for players, coaches, and parents. And whereas the recreation committee recommends adopting the policies as shown in the exhibit page. Now therefore be it resolved that the common council, city of Juneau, accept the aforementioned recommendation. As for the common council of the city of Juneau, the 12th day of August 2025, I move for passage of resolution 33, 2025.
Second. Stephanie, second, Bill, any further discussion?
What the discussion was. Because when kids sign up for programs, they want the players and their parents to sign up. Coaches will know how to get things, something.
Yeah, honestly, it's been problems.
There's been a problem.
Always been problems. Yeah. It's a shame that you have to have a formal document, but yeah. Common sense is not prevailing. The maturity level of parents. Lower than what is there.
Yeah.
Right away, no steps.
Well, they're signing the agreement, they know upfront that it's not allowed. Oh, yeah. But it's good to know that they're making them aware of what is allowed and what isn't allowed, like the mayor said. Pretty much common sense of how to do it. You have to put it in writing.
foul every, or a questionable foul, every time up and down the court. Or thinking soccer, that's a little bit played out a little bit farther, baseball, discussions of what balls and strikes, and what play of the plate or something like that.
And I'm sorry to interrupt, right, there's actually verbal warning, and then there's discussion to the city and property litigation of the play, and then immediate removal of children to the youth sports program. Yep. I think like the mayor said, he's gonna have the food and food in the yard.
I would only hope you stick to that.
Yeah.
So it kind of puts the parents on
Well,
notice.
next, yeah,
that,
it's August 20th.
Okay, any other questions? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Woody? Aye. Rungy?
Aye.
Batman?
Aye.
Evan? Rechner? Lee?
Aye.
Resolution 33/2025. Okay, utility commission, Doug.
Hey, yeah. We had a lengthy meeting. Yeah. Got a lot of stuff to go over. Monthly business, approval of payments, consumption laws, delinquent accounts, is all run over. Utility account reported, new carpet installed, in the offices. And the water department is eligible for the simplified rate case for water. I'm not quite sure what that is.
They gave the breakdown.
I think it's just use their commission sites to
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the, not so lengthy of time to, the only deregulated utility you have is the sewer utility. Otherwise, any change in rates for the electric and the water has to go through the PSC. And I think this is kind of a fast track so far.
It's a simple repeat.
Get you there faster, you don't have to wait time.
Okay, all right. Okay, electrical superintendent report, they are working on the storm damage to the roof, and there's gonna be a partial fix of the roof by the insurance company, they're not taking the whole thing. The other part of the roof is got damage to it, apparently it's wear and tear damage. And we voted to approve to go ahead and do the whole roof and everything, so the, utilities will be paying $12,000 in that. They would like to get the offices painted, so it looks nicer with the new carpet, and we had to pay $2,600 from Wild Painting, and we approved that. Projects update, Jason went over a lot of that stuff, Jason came in and they went over a lot of that. So, the overhead is down, we'll be throwing poles next week, 90%, needs to be 90% complete on the Route job, the Route 31 VR underground, they have to complete their work. It went smooth until ATC's FAA permit was denied. Apparently they have poles that are just a little too high. So now they have to pull them poles and put the wires on the ground to avoid, they don't be close to the airport. ATC job will be 100% complete by 8/31. And there was a transformer that moved up, we don't know, due to the extreme heat causing the transformer fail. It went, it happened at 6:43, and they had that thing replaced, and we're back online at 8:45 p.m. So 2 hours, 3 minutes, that's absolutely incredible, and a very good job by our electric department for that.
with a transformer replaced. They're taking down poles, so they got poles and that they had to be removed for the report. The water superintendent report, WP change order number 9 motion, and change order number 9 gave the city a total credit of $47,000. WWCP upgrade installed new main entry sign. There was a water softener problem that was fixed. There's a problem with Woodstream with their wastewater flow. They're trying to work that out. They're putting a meter in to keep track of how much wastewater. They have more water coming in than they have going out because they use the water for the problem. So they said it's not fair to base their outgoing on anything. Aquatis jetted and televised about 10,000 feet of pipe, finding very wrong, which is good. Special interview for engineering firms for DNR required project will be August 20th at 6 p.m. Is that why MSA was here tonight doing an audition already? Or? No? All right. I think that's about it.
Any questions for Doug? It was a rather lengthy meeting.
Yeah, it was. There's a lot.
That change order took a lot of time. Those items were what I alluded to tonight were addressed at that meeting. But yeah, certainly they should come back and talk to the utility commission. These are the two mouthpieces to their higher ups. I think that would make much more sense rather than coming to a meeting like this. Any questions? None. Moving on. The old business now. The new business. Approved provincial licenses for 45 days. There are none. Approved regular bartender's license for 2025. Expired June 30th, 2026. Rachel Weinheim. Motion to approve. Second. Motion by approved. Second by Tom. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Under business, and we can entertain a motion to adjourn. So be it. Motion by Rungy, second by Chapman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. The meeting's closed.